Hi guys, my name is Rohil and welcome to my channel. Today I have my beautiful wife Evelina with me.
Hi.
So we are here today just to have a little bit of a chat about how Ashtanga has influenced us in our lives, how it has changed our lives for the better, and what we really gain from doing this practice every single day. I began the practice of Ashtanga back in 2016, approximately 8 years ago, and I immediately fell in love with the practice. Before that, I was practicing a bit of Hatha for a few years, and Ashtanga for me was like a newfound love. I really enjoyed how it made me feel in my body. The energy that it required and the energy that it created was just awesome. Though in the 8 years that I've been practicing Ashtanga every single day, I found a big quality of difference in my mind and my mindset. I find that having to practice every single day really makes you a lot more disciplined, and it also gives structure to the day somehow. So, both of us have been practicing. We've met back in 2020, 4 years ago, and most days we are practicing together for an hour and a half, 2 hours, except for the times when we teach at 6 a.m. in the morning, which is once in a while, where we are practicing about a half an hour or 45 minutes on those days. But we still manage to get in a little bit of practice, some sun salutations, some standing postures. And I think that this practice has been the most stable thing in my life, something that I do every single day. I don't think any other habit of mine, yeah, anything else I have been able to keep every single day for so many years. So I'm really grateful to the practice for creating that kind of discipline within me.
Yeah, I find it's just so important to show up on your mat every single day. So oftentimes what we think that people who practice Ashtanga they do, like a full power practice every single day. And oftentimes it scares people and keep them away from practicing Ashtanga. They think like, whoa, I don't want to do every single day the same thing, which is so intense. So yeah, for us, even though we practice every single day, we are taking the practice in different, approaching the practice in different way on different days. So yeah, some days we would go really with a lot of energy. We would really go with like a lot of dedication into the practice. But some days also we feel down. Maybe we had a lot of work. Maybe we didn't sleep well. Maybe we're just tired. Maybe I have my period. So all of these things we are also just taking into consideration. And I find it really important to find that balance to still, even when I'm feeling down, to still show up on on my mat, do my practice. However, I would approach it differently. So I think it's all about balance. So it's all about dedication, about being regular, about working on yourself every single day. However, at the same time, we need to find that sweet spot between pushing ourselves and between allowing ourselves to rest, to take some time to let go whenever we need.
And that actually reminds me of something that I always think of nowadays, especially as I'm getting older, though Evelina doesn't feel so, but I feel definitely that as I'm entering my 30s, the body is changing. And I find that the practice should be something that is a lifelong practice. It should be something that I can do forever. And I don't want to push myself to the limit that I'm burnt out or my body's burnt out in just a few years of practicing so intensely. So I would say like 80% of my practice is where I'm not really even pushing pushing the boundary of what I'm capable of. It's only those few practices where we really have good energy, where we're really pushing. But the important thing, like Evelina mentioned, is that some days you might have pain in the wrist, for instance. Another day you might have a pain in some other part of the body, some soreness. And it's always good to keep modifying the practice, so not take stepping back from it, so keep going, but trying to modify, trying to change how we approach it on those particular days. So, for instance, earlier, if I had a pain in my wrist or a sprained wrist, I would completely be off any kind of physical activity. I wouldn't go to the gym, I wouldn't do anything, I would just be completely resting it. But now I find with the Ashtanga practice, because in my head it's like something like brushing your teeth. There's no option to not do it, so I'm always doing it. So now, okay, today I'm doing it, with my wrist hurting or my wrist sprained, and I modify by placing my knuckles, for instance, and some other day my knee is a bit hurt or I fell down somewhere and I have a bruise. So I think it's really important to have that approach where we become like water. So any obstacle that comes our way, we kind of find a way to flow around it. And I think
Mm.
that's a good metaphor for life in general. It's not only the Ashtanga practice. We want to ideally be practicing that in our entire life, is
Mm.
flowing through the different challenges that come to us and trying to find the easy way out instead of struggling and fighting against it.
Yeah, I think it's really beautiful what you said. And yeah, I feel like oftentimes we are doing that, okay, we have some pain, there is something wrong in the body. Oh, now I have to be super extra careful, take rest, don't strain this part. I find, yeah, it's important to take some amount of rest at this time, definitely. But we also need to learn to assess, is it really that I need rest, or is it that I need some kind of modification? What is actually happening in the body? And to develop this kind of awareness, I guess we need to go through some period of regular daily practice. Because if I think of myself when I was just starting the practice, I just had so many different pains, so many different injuries. So actually, when I started the Ashtanga practice, I actually had this accident in the airplane when there was very strong turbulence. I used to work as a stewardess, so I was just going and serving the juices to people. And in this moment, like I don't even know when it happened, but like I went up into the air and then I landed on the armrest. You know, like in the airplane, there are this metal armrests. I just crashed with my back, with my spine all over the armrest, and ended up with so much pain, so much like oof, I just still, when I think of it, yeah, like caused me so much trauma in my muscles also around it for a long term after. And yeah, my lower back was a weak point for me always throughout my whole life, as you know. So this injury put me into bed for some time, and I was practicing yoga before already, but yeah, I was practicing hatha ashtanga. It was something what I was a little interested in. I was exploring it slowly, but it was not yet in my daily life. So yeah, this injury put me to bed for some time, and when I came back to my mat, I was actually not really able to move my body in any proper way. Like when I was bent back, it was like oh, like I just could not almost move. So yeah, all these limitations put me first into so many different emotions, like anger, disappointment, sadness, and later at some point it brought me to this understanding like wow, you really need to work on yourself. Like it's now, this is this moment when you really want to work on yourself. And that was the time when I already came back to flying, and I had the flight to Chile, to Santiago. And I remember that was the first Ashtanga class which I attended. Before I would study a little bit with my friend who was Ashtanga teacher, or just doing some YouTube videos. But yeah, I never went for a group class. And after this first class, it was a lead class as well. I was just like, wow, this is what I really need in my life now. I need the self discipline. I need to be repeating the same thing every day to actually give my body chance to recover, give my mind chance to become strong and more focused, because I used to be very distracted person. I would have, you know, some dream, some goal. I would take few steps there, but then I would, it's okay. Let's do something new, something new. And I
Hmm.
had this big difficulty to focus. So that's what Ashtanga really gave me. It gave me this, you know, ability to work on myself every single day, step by step, do the same thing. Even when the mind gets bored sometimes, I would just, all right, it gets bored. I would accept it and I would still work through it. Because ultimately, in the practice of Ashtanga, even though we repeat the same sequence every day, that's what it sounds to people who don't practice, that it's so boring. But once we start practicing, we see there is so much to learn. There are like endless transitions to keep improving. There are endless postures and new series which we want to work on. So it's like never-ending
And like every
journey.
every day is like a new practice. Like when you
Mm,
get on the mat, every single day feels like a brand new practice. It's completely different. Your body feels
yeah.
different. The mind is different. There are different emotions and thoughts running through the mind. So every day in that sense is unique. And also, I really liked what you mentioned about having the focus, the Ashtanga practice giving you focus, because this is definitely something that I found in my life, is that I still don't have any focus. I'm still very distracted. Evelina will tell you definitely that every day I'm jumping from one idea to the next. I have some new inspiration, new ideas of what to do with, I don't know, with my Instagram, with my YouTube, with my life, with my, and so on. So it's Ashtanga was something that gave me a kind of focus, a focal point, which is through doing it every day. Over time, of course, it didn't happen immediately, but over a few months, years, I felt that suddenly I was a lot more grounded in my life rather than doing a new sequence each day, which I feel like a lot of the times when I see it outside, if you keep practicing different things every day, it also gives that kind of lightness in the mind that, and which is also good for some people. Some people might need that, might need a little bit more change, a bit more difference in their life. But for me, definitely having that structure and that routine really helped me to become more grounded. And Ashtanga is a very physical practice, so it's physically demanding. And this also helped to calm this nervous, chattering energy which is present in my mind. Oftentimes, also, what happened to me when I started was I saw these people doing these amazing postures, and I was like, wow, that's so cool. Maybe one day I'll be able to do them. And I find that there are two kinds of ways we can respond to this really amazing postures. There's one kind of people who are really inspired by it and they want to, then they start chasing behind those amazing postures. And then there's another kind of person who looks at it and, like, no way I'm going to be able to do that. It looks scary. My body will break, my bones will break, my ligaments will tear. And they're like, okay, I'm going to stay away from this practice. And I find that this is quite, in my opinion, quite sad because the practice is not about those amazing postures. Those amazing postures are only there for people who are much more flexible and they want to keep challenging themselves through the practice. So they keep going from more difficult to more difficult posture and so on. But truly, I've come to understand now with teaching so many different students from all over the world with different mindsets, different body types, and so on, that it's not about those amazing postures. It's simply about landing up on the mat every single day and doing your practice. It's not about trying to reach some state of perfection.
Hmm. And it takes time to develop this understanding that it's not about me achieving this one posture. Because, yeah, I think many of us, we have this feeling like, wow, I want to be the best. I want to be the best I can be. I want to improve in all these different aspects. And here, asana is just an example of how we can actually start chasing behind, then also comparing ourselves to other people who are, like much more flexible, much more strong, um, and that's something what I found also in myself. I used to compare myself so much to others and always see myself, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not flexible enough, I cannot do, this kind of things what other people can do. And I would always keep pushing myself down through it. I still sometimes fall into it somehow here and there,
Mhm.
but nowadays I'm much more aware of it, and I'm, yeah, just working on pulling myself back into respecting my body and just enjoying the practice from day to day, as it's continuously changing, as you said before. Like, every single practice is different. And it doesn't mean that, yeah, like if we practice every single day, then every day it will be better, will be more flexible, more strong, and so on. Because it can be still up and down. Like, example is what I managed today to do finally. The Kapotasana, which is, Kapotasana, which is like a very intense back bend, and my back bend is my weakest point of my practice. Because, yeah, lower back injuries, neck injuries, all kind of back problems. So my lower back, my all back was usually like, just no, don't bend back. But I kept working on it. And actually, I remember myself when we were in India a couple of years ago. You remember after
Mhm.
Mysore, we
Yeah,
were
yeah.
at your home, and then, yeah, I was doing Kapotasana. I approached the posture, so I went back all the way, and then you gave me adjustment, and I touched my toes. And then I came up and you were like, wow, amazing. And I was like, oh, so bad. I was so bad. I cannot hold the heels. I'm nah, what a crap, this practice. And later on, I tried again, again. And for some time now, for 2 years, I was not able to even touch the tips of the toes. Like, my back was so stiff. And even I practiced every single day, still the back was so stiff and nothing was changing. And today, somehow, as I put more dedication recently to back bends, today I touched the toes again after 2 years of not being able. And today I was so grateful for it. I appreciated it so much because just, yeah, the practice keeps changing. So one time we can be here and we feel, oh, I'm so down, like this is nothing. And then we go actually lower and then we realize, okay, it was not so bad. And then maybe I stop chasing somehow so strongly after I just keep enjoying the practice. And then at some point, if I keep being dedicated and if I keep accepting my body, listening to it, then just body changes, adapts slowly, step by step.
Mhm.
But each of us have different bodies. So for some people, certain things can take just maybe a couple of weeks or months of practice. For other people, can take years. For other people, maybe we start very late. Maybe we are very stiff. Maybe some crazy posture which we think of will not happen, and it's fine. I think what's the most important is just to accept ourselves the way we are and to work every day on ourselves, doing our best. But our best doesn't mean pushing ourselves to the limits every single day, but our best in a way that we are always dedicated, working hard on ourselves, and also respecting, taking rest whenever we need.
Yeah, I think that that makes a lot of sense because we want to ultimately create a connection with our body, our mind, our breath through the practice, and it's not about chasing behind certain postures. And what I've seen in myself and also in others who practice Ashtanga is that we become so fixated on chasing the postures, and this happened to me in the first couple of years that I was practicing that I didn't do anything else. So I love to some once in a while go for a run. I like to once in a while do some calisthenics with some friends or go to the gym with some friends. It's not something that I do in a structured way like every single day, but I love to explore the body, do some climbing once in a while. And in those 2 years, it was like, no, I won't go for a run because if I go for a run, it will make my hamstrings even tighter. So Evelina has issues with her back bends, and I have issues with my forward folds. I have really stiff hamstrings and glutes. Also, it's really long legs.
You can say
Uh,
how you were starting the practice, how
yeah.
you were so
So when I
stiff.
when I began, I could barely reach beyond my knees in a forward fold.
Mm.
So forget about even touching the toes. And I think that this was because I was running a lot in my high school and university time. I used to do quite a bit of long distance running, but also short distance like sprinting and so on. And I really used to love running at that time. So when I came into Ashtanga, that stiffness, one of my teachers told me that you should stop doing running and so on because your hamstrings are super tight. And of course, at that time, I think for the first year, stopping to run helped me to change my body a little bit and open out my hamstrings. But now I feel that it's I go for a run once in a while or I do some other forms of strength training and this makes me a little bit more stiff. So if I run a couple of times, I do see the difference in my forward folds. Even though I would like it not to be that way, it is that. And
Mm.
I think it doesn't really matter because ultimately every day I come to my practice is a place where I can connect with my body. It's not about showing off to people how good my forward fold is or being able to do the more advanced postures where you have the two legs behind the head and so on. And in my approach and perspective, for those that are really trying for it, good for them. Of course, it's great. You can, of course, challenge your body in that way. But for me, particularly, it's not so important to be able to do those postures. What's important
Mm.
is that I keep practicing, I feel good in my body, and I can keep this practice up for the rest of my life, hopefully, being healthy and strong. So that's really my intention with the practice.
Oh, my Ashtangi. And that's a really blessing actually to have a Ashtangi partner. Because yeah, it's something what connects us so much. But when we are, waking up together and then there is no question, are we practicing today? It's just so normal. Like we go, we do our morning cleansing, then we go, we open our mat, and we start the practice. And it's just such a beautiful thing which, yeah, connects us every single day and helps us to be more grounded, more stable in our life, to work on ourselves. um yeah, so that's what came to my mind now. And actually, when we met, we were also we were practicing Ashtanga together. So we were working. We were both working on the yoga teacher training, and then we started to practice Ashtanga together. As each of us was practicing in our own room, and then we thought, like, yeah, why not to just practice together every morning? So we started practicing together, and yeah, that's how we fell in love with each other.
So Ashtanga also not only brought all these benefits to the mind and the body, but it also brought the love of my life into
No,
my life.
gosh, blushing. Maybe we cut this part, no?
No, we
Um,
keep it. What's that?
okay, let's keep it. It's cute.
And actually, another thing that I wanted to mention that I just remembered is how Ashtanga changed the way I perceived various feelings or sensations within my body. So I found that every day, as I would practice on my own or in a Mysore style room, and not in a guided led class. So a led class like in a vinyasa, or even you have a Ashtanga led class where the teacher is demonstrating the various postures and I am following along with the teachers. I would In this space I feel very distracted. I am looking at the teacher, what the teacher is saying, what the teacher is demonstrating to me, because my eyes are already wandering around the class. I'm also looking at other practitioners, how are they doing the postures, is it good or not, trying some slight unconscious comparison is happening all the time. But with Ashtanga, I started to notice that more and more I don't have to look outside to a teacher. So sometimes it doesn't happen always. There are still days where I go to a Mysore class and I'm a bit distracted and I'm focusing on my drishti, the thumb, but from the corner of my eye, I'm looking at the other person doing some advanced posture. Are they able to do it today or not? This is happening unconsciously, of course. But there are some times, and you know, maybe I would say half the time, where as I'm practicing, I get into this state where I'm not really thinking about anybody else or anything else. I'm just connected with my breathing, with the different sensations as they arise in the body, how my body is feeling in that moment. And I think this is really beautiful because it's reconnected my mind and my body, this practice, where earlier my mind would always be up in the clouds and my body would be kind of separate from the mind. So if I was, say, experiencing sadness, for instance, the sadness would be experienced in one way in my physical body and in another way in my mind. My mind would be constantly making up stories, trying to clutch at various things. Maybe it's the moon cycle that is causing me this sadness, where the phase of the moon. Maybe it's something in astrology. Maybe it's something somebody said to me, and so on and so forth. Maybe it's a trauma from my childhood. So I'm kind of trying to understand the why, making reasons up for why I am sad instead of simply experiencing it. And I found that through reconnecting my mind and body, my experience of sadness is starting to change, where now I realize that my experience of sadness actually is in the physical body. Maybe I feel a constriction in my throat. I feel a heaviness in my chest, a heaviness all over my body. Maybe there's some kind of fuzzy sensation in the head. And when I experience this, I'm able to sit with it, observe it, as the same way that I observe the sensation that comes when I'm in a forward fold and my hamstring feels like it's going to tear, or when I'm in a back bend and I feel some strong sensations in different parts of the body. In the same way, I just sit and I observe it, and I realize that ultimately, sooner or later, this sensation too will pass. And I think this is a great way where Ashtanga teaches us to observe without creating an intense reaction to those sensations.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. It has so many similarities actually with Vipassana when we think of it, with the practice of meditation, which we actually also are practicing. And I find that, yeah, whenever we are staying in the posture and our mind wants to run away often, we just feel like, oh my God, I want to finish it quicker. I want to breathe through it quicker. Then we start to breathe quickly, quickly, just to get out of the posture quickly. But here, if we really follow the Tristana, when we are really focusing on the posture, focusing on our breath, focusing our eyes on the drishti, on one point where we are looking, then we are using all these tools to help ourselves to be grounded in the moment, to be present with all the sensations which we feel in the body, and to not react intensely, as you said, to not maybe run away quickly, to not start breathing quicker, to not just skip the posture, but to just be present with whatever emotion, sensation is arising. And as we breathe through it, as we feel through this discomfort, then we realize that, oh, wow, it's changing. Something is changing.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it doesn't change in the huge way in one moment, but if we repeat it every day, if we work on it every day, we keep breathing through different discomforts, through different limitations every day, then we are really progressing on our path step by step. And it doesn't have to be in the physical way, but so much in our mental way. When we realize different patterns which we keep holding in our mind, maybe it would be comparing ourselves to others, maybe it would be rushing, anxiety, stress, maybe it would be fear,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it would be victimizing ourselves. There can be so many different things, so many different patterns which we are stuck in. And the practice of Ashtanga makes us so aware of it, makes us to really see what is happening in our mind. And through these tools of observing the posture, of observing the sensation, of breathing calmly through all of that, we are learning to change these patterns which we have in our mind and to just open ourselves to more possibilities.
Yeah, and I think that it's also important to bring awareness to those patterns, like what Evelina just mentioned about. Sometimes I find I'm rushing a lot through the practice, trying to go super fast, or I am trying to compare myself to others and practicing well to show off to others, maybe especially in a Mysore room. And I find that these patterns are only visible to us when we do a self practice, and when we do especially when we do a self practice along with others. So of course it's also visible when we do it on our own at home, but when we do it alone at home, the social dimension is missing. So the patterns that we have in relation to other people are not visible to us. It's only the patterns we have internally. Maybe I'm rushing too much, I'm pushing myself or not. So these patterns are there, but the social dimension is a very important one, I think, because a lot of our lives is dictated by what others think about us, how they see us, how they perceive us, how we want to be seen by them. And so when we practice in the Mysore style in a Mysore room, we have 10, 12 others around us. These patterns straight away come to the surface because everybody's silent. You're just focusing on your breath, and you'll start to notice how I'm trying to show off. And maybe it's not even apparent to yourself in the beginning.
Mm.
It might take a few weeks of you doing that to then realize one day, hey, I'm every day I'm stepping on this mat, and in my room at home I cannot practice in this way, but
Mm.
here I'm just pushing myself so much just to be seen by others as, oh, this guy is a really disciplined practitioner, he's dedicated, he's strong, powerful, and all of these things which I want
Mm.
others to see those qualities in me. And so I'm pushing myself in a particular way. So all of these can come to the surface with the right approach.
Mm. And that ultimately, yeah, this thing which we see on the mat throughout the practice, as you said, for example, always seeking to be accepted by people around us, liked by people around us, approved somehow. We see it on the mat, but actually then we realize that, wow, this thing is so deeply rooted in me in my daily life.
Hmm.
So that's, for example, for me, it was a big lesson. Exactly the same thing which you said, that why I'm trying to always be better, why I always want people around me to see as, wow, this there is really doing well. She's good, she's strong, she's flexible, whatever. Then noticing it on the mat, then I realize how I'm putting it into my daily life as well. Whenever I'm interacting with different people, I would kind of, put different masks. I would have one mask in front of my friends, in front of students, in front of parents, in front of teachers. So always trying just to be this person which I imagine that they would like me to see, and they would like me to be.
Hmm.
So, and then trying to act into that. So the practice actually makes me to realize this, that wow, how many masks are there. And thanks to this realization, because we all have these masks, we all keep putting different masks on our face. But once we become aware of them, and that's one of the amazing tools, the practice of Ashtanga Yoga, when we become aware of them, then we are able to start dropping these different masks and start to realize who we really are, which is a big journey, which is a maybe lifetime journey. But yeah, I guess that's one of the amazing ways which we have to really become more connected with ourselves, to get to know ourselves, and to just be authentic and real.
Yeah, and that's why I feel blessed along with you to share this practice in retreats, and we are also starting a teacher training from next year, from 2025, where we've been teaching in yoga teacher training since 2017. And it's kind of like the schools that we've been teaching for, that I've been teaching for, are all multi-style. So they teach you a bit of hatha, a bit of vinyasa, a bit of ashtanga, a bit of yin, and it's all a bit of a hodgepodge where you're teaching a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and you really can't go deep into any particular practice with the students. And
Mm,
as this is our personal practice, but also we have quite a different approach to Ashtanga from most Ashtanga teachers, I would say. And so we wanted to bring this approach into the world. We thought that this is something that's missing in the Ashtanga
mm,
world, this kind of an approach where we are not focused on perfecting the postures, but rather focusing on our own patterns that are coming up as we do the practice. And this is the approach actually we want to share with the world through our retreats, through our trainings. And we're really blessed to be able to do that and create the
yeah.
space for others to come and observe themselves and reconnect with their body and breath through the practice.
And to see that Ashtanga can be really for everyone. Because there is this belief that, okay, to practice Ashtanga, you need to be fit, strong, flexible, and all. But I really love when we have people who are, maybe not having any experience when they with yoga practice. Maybe they have some different health problems, some injuries. Maybe they are very overweight. Maybe they are very underweight. Maybe they are whatever, depressed,
Hmm.
scared. Like so many different things can be there. But when they come and like they see that wow, actually I can really benefit out of this practice. There is no one kind of person who could practice Ashtanga and be good with it, because I believe every single person can truly benefit of it, of doing every single day something for themselves, on every single day working on building the healthy body, healthy mind, flexible body, flexible mind, learning about ourselves, about these different patterns in the mind, and purifying our mind through the same thing. So that's why I so believe that Ashtanga Yoga can be so beneficial to everyone. And that's why we feel so dedicated to share it with everyone. So there is not one profile of person who could fit. But I think the one common thing for all different people who could practice with us and be really happy is the ones who really want to work on themselves, who want to grow, who want to become better humans, just in their own unique way.
Hmm.
Oh,
Okay, I think we've been talking a lot.
chatting a lot, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's nice. Okay, so let's finish this video here.
Yeah, if you enjoyed this video, do give it a like, subscribe to our channel, and comment below with any questions you may have, or if you want to share your thoughts. We would love to hear from you.
Thank you so much for watching, and we hope that you will keep practicing. All the
Bye.
best. Bye.